Just going to do a quick how to dry flowers in silica gel. You can purchase this gel at craft places. This was bought about 20 years ago for $14. My mother has done this for as long as I can remember. She's now 80. Here's information that came in the package, flower drying art, and then it talks about how to do it. There's lots of different steps. I watched my mother do this for years. She would usually go to funerals and weddings, take some of their flowers and then dry them and put them in a glass dome for later on. So what you do is you get a container that will fit the size of the flower or flowers that you want. And normally what you would do is you'd cut it here and take the stem off so that you can put it onto metal and wrap it with green floral tape and then put it in because in a dome you wouldn't want the stem on it anyway, and the stem takes some drying time and more space. So normally what you do with the flowers is you cut them off at the base of the flower itself, and then you would pour the cement inside. I'm going to have her help me here, but you put a coating of silica gel in the base of whatever container, and you want the container to fit the size. So you can use a small, medium, or large, and I suggest you work over a tray so that any that you spill will be caught in the tray itself. So you hold the flower over the tray, and you pour the silica sand inside the flower as best you can inside the leaves. And you get it inside the leaves, and you kind of tilt it as you can to get it inside the leaves as best you can, because you want it to dry in between each layer of the leaves. So you try really carefully. Sometimes you can manipulate the flower to open up a little bit more, say that it's a rosebud. You want to get the leaves down the sand and down inside all of the little leaves, petals that you have. And sometimes you can also dry the little leaves down at the bottom or just background greenery. And a lot of times those can dry just by hanging them upside down. And you can also dry carnations and roses that way as well. This will take out the water, and it will dry a little bit darker than the actual color of the flower that you're using. So you want to get a really vibrant, bright colored flower. And now she's going to have to turn it because she's leaving the stem in there. So what you would do is you would turn it and lay it flat, and you try to keep as much sand in there as possible. And if you see, if I lay it down, it's kind of going to be bent there at the bottom. So what you would do with that is you would kind of lift the flower so she's going to lift it up a little bit, hold it down right next to the sand, right down, right there. And then you build the sand up underneath the flower so that the petals on the flower are not bent sideways. So she's going to hold that. If I had two hands, I would be holding it. Try not to breathe the dust. It does make a lot of dust when you're using the sand silica gels, but the sand will get inside the petals much easier than the crystals, the larger silica round pebble kind of thing. So you can see I'm trying to get it down underneath, and she's holding it, and you can scoop it and kind of build it up underneath so that it will hold those petals right in the angle that we want them to be, so that they're not squished and flat on one side. And you can see as she's holding it up, I'm just distributing the sand down in between, and you can kind of help it with your finger, or my mother would use a brush, the back of a paintbrush or the pencil tip, and kind of scoot the silica. As you can see, I'm using my finger, but inside there you can push the silica inside. And it's important when you're pulling them out after you've dried them, you can use a brush to brush the silica sand off. You don't want to break the petals off. And then as you do this, you just continue to drizzle the sand inside the holes there and hold the flower up so that the petals are not bent in any way. And you can see it's filling in those holes. You just kind of go around it. Now, if we had not wanted the stem, I would have done it straight up. I would have turned the flower so that it was sitting on the silica at the bottom and then filled it in that way. But it just depends on what you want your finished flower to look like. So she wanted the stem, so we're doing it this way. This is she was prom royalty, and that's the flower that she wanted to keep out of her bouquet. She liked the color of the carnation, and she loves carnations, so that's the one she decided to keep. As you can see, we're just filling it up, and then you have to make sure all of the petals are covered completely with sand. And also another big important thing is don't ever put two flowers touching. you can stack several flowers in the same container. So say she wanted to do some of the little flowers, you could stick those down around here, and as you're drizzling it over this flower, it would also cover those ones. So you could have maybe 4 or 5 different flowers right here, just not ever touching. And then you just continue using the silica until the flower is completely covered. This is good for like wedding arrangements or for funeral arrangements too, if you want to include many of the same kind of flowers. And then you can be really, if you have a lot you need to dry, that way you can use more. See, look, I've used maybe, a fifth of this container on one flower, but if we stuck other flowers in there right side up and just dried them all that way, we could have gotten 2 layers of flowers in different, sizes in this one bread container. But if you have smaller flowers you want to do, you can put them in a smaller one, Tupperware, yogurt containers. You can do individual flowers in each container. There's lots of different ways. Now when you're taking it out, you want to be careful not to just pick it up and pull it out, because it will, you can kind of see in here, if I dig, there's little petals that get broken off or whatever. So you want to just carefully take the container, and then you want to just kind of shake it and pour the sand out of it, and then catch the flowers as they come out. That way you're not pulling any of the leaves off as you're taking it out. And then once you've done that, you can just gently blow on it. And then if you want to make an arrangement, like I said, you can use floral wire and floral tape to arrange it in different heights and put it in a glass globe. I actually don't have any of those left. I did a few, but usually what I do is I put them in a frame, like a thick picture glass frame, and that way they can hang it on the wall. Like my best friend's mother, I took some flowers from her funeral, put a poem behind it, and then stuck it in this glass frame that she could hang on the wall that matched her decor. So there's lots of different things you can do. It doesn't have to be a glass globe. It can be in a frame or some other smaller container, or you can just make a picture out of the petals. You can just dry the petals and then do a flat floral out of that. I have one made out of hearts made out of just petals from different flowers, and you just glue them onto a matte background, and then you can save them that way. But anyway, that was just a quick way to dry flowers if you have the silica gel crystals.